What's up, everybody? I'm back, and I'm continuing to go over everything that was being printed in the press at the time of Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey's arrest, their trial, and everything post-trial as well. Now, in these videos, we are well into the post-trial aspect of these articles. The article from today we are going to go over is from December 30th, 2015, and it is from the Madison Capital Times. It's an interview with Dean Strang. The headline is, Attorney Dean Strang still haunted by aspects of Stephen Avery's case. And we're just going to jump right into the interview aspect of it. Have you watched the series yet? I finished it last night. Way too late. So you didn't get a shot at it before anybody else did. I could have asked for that and they would have let me do that, but I didn't. Do you feel it was an accurate description of the events surrounding the trial? I thought first it was really, really good filmmaking. And second, to take a 7-week trial with a 15-month run-up to that and all of the years since to condense it into 10 hours, yes, I thought it was fair. It can't be complete, but I thought it was fair. What caused you to say yes to this project? It was an individual decision with a big, huge client component. Stephen wanted us to cooperate and gave his approval, not for disclosure of his confidences. Nobody asked to invade the attorney-client privilege. When I met the filmmakers, I didn't know what point of view they were going to start with, or end with for that matter. I didn't know what the content would be, but I had a really high degree of confidence in their integrity and their intelligence. There's no shortage of this is another question, of documentaries and TV shows on murder cases, but they rarely look at how attorneys work far outside the courtroom, like they did with this series. You're seen hiking around the Avery salvage yard, for example. Is that standard operating procedure? Oh, sure. You've got to go to the scene in every case, even if it's a white-collar fraud allegation or something. You try to go wherever the key event supposedly happened, and the filmmakers' willingness to do that is why I cooperated with them and why I don't cooperate with the ilk you see as emblematic symbol of the series with the young woman from Dateline or 2020 or wherever who tells us murder's hot right now. That's the much more common approach. It's a one-off, a quick hit driven by viewership or some sort of simple theme, and I try to avoid that as much as I possibly can. There's a parallel between this series and the Serial podcast in that viewers see the interrogations and consider evidence outside the constraints of a courtroom, trial, and second-guess attorneys on social media. Is that something you think about or pay attention to? Yes, I think about it as an interested observer and as one who is wary of how social media intersects with my work, but you can't try to control it, and you can't take it too much to heart. For example, during the Avery trial, the run-up and the 7 weeks of that trial, we got all kinds of hate mail threats. If you read the comments posted on the newspaper's websites, it was all overwhelming, directed at us, our client, and his family. Now, for the last 7 days, it's been exactly the opposite sort of onslaught with warm wishes. A lot of it is thoughtful and all that, but both of those experiences are artificial and disheartening. Neither of them represent any particular reality other than what's going on in fevered social media at the moment among a self-selected portion of the population. You really can't set your bearings to that at any time. You do have to be wary of how it will affect what I'm trying to do when I'm trying a case. In one of the episodes, you talk about how if you think too much about the problems that occur with the defense of Brendan Dassey, Stephen Avery's nephew who was convicted in the murder case, it would both hurt your work in defending Avery and becoming quite troubling. Are you still thinking about that aspect of the case? Yes, the longer I'm in this work, and maybe anyone who thinks about his or her work, whatever it is, the less I tend to focus on the specific outcomes in any given case or any given motion, hearing, or whatever, because the reality is those often are fluky or accidental in the way that all human enterprise is. The longer I'm in it, the more I tend to think about, or at least focus on, worrying about the broader systematic failings or weakness. And Brendan Dassey's case was just a vivid example, I think, of some systematic failings and fault lines that haunts me and provides a lot to think about. Stephen's case, almost any case, reveals some systematic weakness or things we should try to improve, not just in one case, but across the workings or justice system. For me, at least, those flaws were revealed in Brendan's case. Is there any chance Stephen Avery's case could be revisited? I think the realistic chances for Stephen Avery are slim, but not vanished or non-existent, and I think they lie under the heading of new evidence, which would either be someone coming forward, someone admitting something, someone revealing a secret they've been carrying that would point in another direction, or advance in scientific testing so that blood and the EDTA discovered in Halbach's car can be revisited. Have you had any recent contact with Stephen Avery? Oh yes, I've always had contact with him, as has Jerry. We saw him last week. So you visit him in prison? Not all that frequently, but I've probably seen him 4 times in prison since he was sentenced. I've seen him in the court post-conviction. We correspond, Jerry and I both sort of remain pro bono resources to him. When he's speaking in the documentary, Avery answers very serious questions about his innocence in such a direct, matter-of-fact way. Does he remain that way? Yes, that is Stephen Avery. There is no other Stephen Avery than what you're seeing. He's very concrete. He's a very concrete thinker. He has an economy for words. He processes slowly, and that's him. Is there anything else that strikes you as interesting having finished watching the series? As someone who knows nothing about filmmaking, it was interesting to me to watch a documentary that had no narration. The footage and clips and interviews carry the entire narrative. It's probably not unique, but I had not seen a documentary where the subjects of it and the collected footage just carry the narrative entirely. So that was a long interview. We're just going to discuss that one for now. Dean Strang. I've never really heard a lot from Dean Strang since this. He'll pop up every now and again with interviews, but it's mostly Jerry Buting, because Jerry Buting has social media and Dean Strang doesn't. Jerry Buting still talks a fair bit about this case on his Twitter account, or his X account now as it's called, and he's still very active and still supports Stephen Avery. He still talks to Kathleen Zellner and Laura Nyrider through the social media outlet as well. They are often tagging each other in posts and discussing things that are happening in the case. But that's an interview from Dean Strang in the Madison Capital Times from December 30th, 2015. Let me know what you think. What did you think of the interview? What did you think of Dean Strang's, how he handled the case in Making a Murderer? Let me know. I hope you're having a good day, and I will see you again soon.